hey everyone, welcome to church today. My name is John Rakowski. I'm the Goodrich campus pastor here at Bridgewood Church, and I'm actually on site right now at our Clarkston location, and it feels really good to be here, but it's missing one thing, and that is all of you guys. We miss you so much, and I cannot wait for the day that we're all able to walk through these doors together. But right now in this season of life that we're in, even though we're practicing social distancing and we're doing all of our experiences online, it's so important that we do not get socially isolated. And we are doing everything that we can at Bridgewood to help make sure that we stay connected. And we would love to know that you're engaging and connecting with us, even more than just watching these experiences, but actually engaging in the community of Bridgewood Church. And to be able to find out all of the different ways that you can do that, go to bridgewoodchurch.com/online to see all of those opportunities. And if you need help getting anything set up to be able to do that, just reach out to us. We would love to make that happen. But let's make sure that we stay socially connected as much as we possibly can during this time. That's our heartbeat at Bridgewood, and that's what we're going to do until the day that we can all be back together in person. And you know, speaking of community, it's so important to us, and one of the ways that we want to make sure that everybody stays connected in a real personal way is through our life groups here at Bridgewood, and they are launching today. Our life group directory is live right now, and you can find yourself a group that is going to be a great fit for you. And we've reimagined groups a little bit to make it a little bit more fitting for this time that we're in. All of our groups are going to happen online through Zoom or video conference calls, and it's going to be shorter groups of smaller people so that you're able to connect in that way a little bit better. And it's just going to be a short 6-week summer season of groups. Those meetings are only going to be about 30 or 40 minutes once a week, just to really have a small group of people that you can remain connected with. It's so important during this time. We want to make sure that all of you are cared for, and this is one way to be able to do that. So go ahead and jump onto our website, bridgewoodchurch.com/life groups, or go on to our Church Center app, and you can find the directory and get plugged into a group that will be starting here shortly. You know, not only have we all been able to remain connected together, but we've also been able to stay connected with all of our missions organizations that are doing amazing things throughout the world. And last week, as we celebrated Mothers, we challenged everybody to write House of Providence in the comment section. And for every single one of those that you did, we are going to donate $1 to our local House of Providence organization that is doing an amazing work right here in our local community. And we wanted to just give you a quick update about the impact that made.
Hi, Bridgewood family. We are so grateful for your partnership this Mother's Day. Mother's Day can be such a difficult thing for kids who are in foster care, and we are so careful at House of Providence with the kids during that delicate time. And to see how intentionally you guys partnered with us just blew us away, and we just wanted to send you guys our love and our gratitude. We are so, so grateful.
And Pastor Kurt, Christy, and Bridgewood Church are so thankful for all that you guys do for us, not just this one time, but your commitment that you do every single month, your prayers, your generosity. It is changing the lives of the kids here at House of Providence. We're grateful to you for all that you do, and we're praying for you that soon you'll be able to meet together again as a church, and God will continue to use you in your community to reach more for Jesus. Thank you guys so much.
Yes, we love you.
And it is so encouraging to hear what God is doing. And we're just so grateful that you helped us make an amazing impact in House of Providence, but also in all of the other organizations and in Bridgewood Church as you continue to give faithfully and generously. And will you just continue to partner together with us through your giving during this season so that we can continue making an impact and just being the church that God has called us to be during this time. You'll see all of the ways on your screen that you can be able to give today. And man, God is using your faithfulness to make a huge impact. So thank you so much for doing that. We've got an amazing experience ahead of us today. Pastor Kurt, our lead pastor, is going to be coming in just a bit to wrap up a series on transitions that he has been in. But before he does that, let's spend some time worshiping God together.
searched the world, but it couldn't fill me. Man's empty praise and treasures that fade are never enough. Till you came along and you put me back together. Now every desire is now satisfied here in your love. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing is better than you. I believe it. Singing, I'm not afraid. No, I'm not afraid to show you my weakness, my failures and flaws. Lord, you've seen them all, and you still call me friend. 'Cause the God of the mountain is the God of the valley, and there's not a place your mercy and grace won't find me again. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing is better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing is better than you. I believe it. This is what you do. You turn mourning to dancing. You give beauty for ashes. You turn shame into glory. You're the only one who can. You turn mourning to dancing. You give beauty for ashes.
'cause there's nobody like you, God. No one like you, oh. You speak and waters crash upon the sand. The oceans push and pull in your command. You hold the moon and stars within your hands, and all with just a breath the world began. And we sing, God, there's nobody like you, God. There's nobody like you, God. There will never be. There'll never be anyone like you, Jesus. When nothing we could do would be enough. From heaven's highest place, you reach for us. My sin and shame forever overcome. Oh, the grave was overwhelmed by perfect love. Oh, we sing, God, there's nobody like you, God. There's nobody like you, God. There will never be. Oh, God, there's nobody like you, God. There's nobody like you, God. There will never be. Never be anyone like you, Lord. Oh, 'cause there's no one like you, Lord. And your name is greater than any name I know. Your throne is higher than any other throne. You are the author, creator of it all. You stand alone. You stand alone. Oh, God, there's nobody like you, God. There's nobody like you, God. There will never be. Oh, God, there's nobody like you, God. There's nobody like you, God. There will never be. Oh, God, there's nobody like you, God. There's nobody like you, God. There will never be. Oh, there'll never be. Oh, God, there's nobody like you, God. There's nobody like you, God. There will never be.
Hey everybody, welcome to Bridgewood Church Online. And I am so excited to be able to bring week number 3 of our series, Transitions, to you today. But you know, this is usually when I look into the camera and I get the opportunity to welcome you wherever you are watching us today. But I want to be honest with you, I am just in awe right now because little did I know, and I wish we could just turn this camera angle around so that you'd be able to see what I'm seeing right now, but our team snuck in here before I had a chance to come into the auditorium, and right now they have put pictures of every one of your faces on every seat in this auditorium here at our Clarkston campus. And I just can't even begin to tell you what this looks like to me from this view. I am just absolutely blown away just seeing your faces right now, looking back at me, having the presence of our team right now in the auditorium with me. And it just gets me so fired up about the opportunity that we're going to have to gather back together again, and how much not only me, but our entire team misses every single one of you. You know, for a long time here at Bridgewood Church, since we started, we have always said this, that every chair represents a face, and every face has a story. And we believe that God is writing the story of your lives here at Bridgewood Church. And this is the reason why we do what we do. And so I am so encouraged today to know that not only are you watching through that camera lens, but I'm getting to see your faces right now in this auditorium. And thank you so much for being here with us today. I am just absolutely humbled. Thank you, team, for just being here right now. I feel just the presence of God in this place, but I'm surrounded by those that have been with me on this journey all along, and I am so grateful for it. And today, I know so many of you are asking, there's not a day that goes by that I don't get asked, Kurt, when are we going to reopen? In which I usually reply, we've never closed. Because in so many ways, we are more open than we have ever been before. Like, we are reaching more people than we have ever reached. We see people that are far from God tuning in and coming close to God. Bridgewood, I want to thank you so much for your amazing generosity during these last few weeks. Because of your generosity, we have been able to bless so many, not only here in our community, but now reaching all the way across the world. Your generosity has just been unbelievable and amazing. And now we have an opportunity, as you have heard, for these virtual life groups that are going to be so important to get us ready to come back together again. So would you do me a favor? Would you make sure that in these next 6 weeks, you join one of these virtual life groups? Because I believe this is going to be so important for us to gather back together again, and we don't want anybody to miss out at all. We've also figured out a way to have next steps online so that you can join Team Bridgewood, and we are just super excited about being able to gather again. I know you're wondering, when is that going to be? And trust me, everybody on our team wants to break out of what we've been experiencing the last few weeks. But you know, what we do here at Bridgewood Church really isn't conducive to social distancing. And so we feel like we need to wait just a little bit, let some of these restrictions ease up a little so that we can have a meaningful experience together and we can stay on mission and do what we do here at Bridgewood. So I believe it's going to be in just a few weeks, maybe mid-June, beginning of July, that we're going to have a chance to be able to get back together again. And I am so excited for that opportunity to happen. So in the meantime, we are in this series talking about transitions and how do we transition through the storms of life, and how do we come out stronger rather than weaker. That's what we've been looking at over these past few weeks. And so what we've learned is this, is that storms are used throughout the Bible to represent crisis in our lives. And we know that crisis many times is unexpected and it comes out of nowhere. We've also learned that storms impact us no matter who you are, no matter whether you know God or you don't know God. And we've also seen that storms come in all shapes and sizes. They affect us whether they seem small or whether they seem big and overwhelming. Storms affect everybody. You know, here's what I have discovered is that a lot of times I believe that we pray to ask God to take us out of the storm. And listen, when this storm hit, that was the first prayer that I prayed. God, get us out of this storm. But what I'm learning is that sometimes God, because of His amazing grace, will deliver us out of the storm. But a lot of times God says, I am not going to take you out of the storm, but I am going to go with you through the storm. And not just go with you, but I'm going to use the storm in your life to accomplish my purposes for your life, which is so unbelievably amazing. I was thinking about how God does amazing things in the midst of some of the storms through the Bible. I read through the story the other day of the prodigal son in Luke chapter 15. And you know that the prodigal, he left home and decided that he was going to live life on his own, doing it his own way. And we know that that didn't work out too well for him. But here's what happened. It says when he finally came to his senses and he returned home to his father, Luke chapter 15 and verse 14 tells us that it was actually a storm. It was a crisis. It was a famine that actually brought him to a place of need, where he said, because of my need, I am going to return home to my father. Maybe this storm God is using to be able to bring you back home in relationship with your Heavenly Father. I believe that that can be possible even in the midst of this storm. So in Acts chapter 27, we have been looking at Paul throughout the entire chapter. He is in a storm. And we've had the privilege of seeing him transition through every part of the storm. So in week number 1, we talked about what it's like when you go into a storm. And we know that storms are unexpected and they seem to come out of nowhere. Sometimes it's smooth sailing, and then all of a sudden you hit stormy seas. This week I prayed with a man that just discovered that he has been diagnosed with stage 2 cancer. And so it's not only COVID-19 that people are dealing with, but people are dealing with all sorts of storms. Financial storms, relational storms, health storms. They come out of nowhere. In week number 2, we talked about what do you do in the middle of the storm? You know, sometimes the middle of the storm is the toughest part because you feel stuck in the middle. You feel like things aren't getting any better. They're actually getting worse. And we talked about how we manage through the middle of the storm. And so today, in week number 3, the last message in this series, we're going to talk about how do you transition out of the storm? How do you come out so that you're stronger and not weaker? How many of you are ready to transition out of this storm? I don't know about you, but I am, and I know I've got a big amen from everyone that is here with me today. So let's look at how they came out of the storm. Let me begin reading in verse number 39 because it tells us how they came through this storm. It says in verse 39, when daylight came, they did not recognize the land, but they saw a bay with a sandy beach where they decided to run the ship aground. Cutting loose the anchors, they left them in the sea, and at the same time untied the ropes that were holding the rudders together. Then they hoisted the foresail to the wind, and they made for the beach. But the ship struck a sandbar and ran aground. The bow struck fast and would not move, and the stern was broken by the pieces of the pounding surf. Then the soldiers planned to kill the prisoners to prevent any of them from swimming away and escaping. But the centurion wanted to spare Paul's life and kept him from carrying out their plan. He ordered those that could swim to jump overboard first and get to land. The rest were to get there on the planks or on the pieces of the ship. I love that transitional verse in verse 44. In this way, everyone reached land safely. And so everyone needs to hear this today, wherever you're watching from, because storms aren't going to last forever. And they are going to come to an end. So here's what we need to learn transitioning out of the storms. I want you to write this in the comments. I want you to put it on Instagram or tweet it out right now. Never allow the presence of a storm to cause you to doubt the presence of God. Did you hear that? Never allow the presence of a storm to cause you to doubt the presence of God. These men that were on the ship with Paul, they were in the middle of a storm. They were afraid that they were never going to make it out of the storm. But notice what it says in Acts chapter 27 and verse 20. When neither the sun nor the stars appeared for many days, and the storm continued raging, we finally gave up all hope of being saved. It just wouldn't stop. It just continued to rage. Maybe this storm feels the same way. Is it ever going to stop? And it just continued to rage. And when people give up hope, listen to me, they began to declare their despair. You probably have heard it like I've heard it. Are we ever going to get out of this storm? We're never going to get through this. We're going to lose the economy or our businesses. Are we ever going to have sports again? And so in their despair, in the moment of despair, Paul steps up and he says this, keep up your courage, guys. Right now, I want you to think about all of the ways that God is with us in the storms of life. You know, He can be with us in the storms by surrounding us with His angels that are there to protect us and care for us in moments of crisis. At other times, God can be there in the midst of the storm because His Spirit lives inside of us and He's right there with us in moments of uncertainty and in moments of fear. You know, sometimes God has the ability to bring us comfort in the midst of our pain, while in other times, God guides us in moments of darkness by just a still voice, or He speaks into our spirit and our soul and says, this is the way, follow after me. And I love how God is always there. So we can never allow a storm. We can never allow the presence of a storm to cause us to doubt the presence of God. You know, in another storm, Paul told Timothy, he said this, everyone deserted me. Everybody left me. But the Lord stood by my side and gave me strength. It might even feel like everybody is gone right now. You might feel isolated and all alone. But the Apostle Paul said, God was right there with me in the storm. The psalmist said the same thing in Psalm chapter 16. He said, I know that the Lord is always with me, and I will not be shaken. He said, no storm is going to be able to shake me. Why? Because He is right beside me. Here's what I want you to know. Real peace is not found in the absence of a storm. Real peace is found in the presence of Jesus. Real peace doesn't come by trying to find a trouble-free life. Some of you didn't have peace before this storm hit. And so to think that if this storm just goes away, you're going to have peace in your life is not real. Jesus actually said in John chapter 16 and verse 33, you will face difficulty in this life. In other words, you're going to go through storms. You're going to go through crisis. But He said, but take heart. Be encouraged. I have overcome the world. Real peace is not trying to live a life that is trouble-free or doesn't have crisis. But peace is found in the presence of Jesus. And here's what I want you to know as you're coming out of this. If God is with you, you can go through any storm in life because His presence is right there with us. Here's something else that I want you to lean into today. I've been discovering this every week that we have gone through this crisis together, is that the storm I am in today is giving me the strength that I need for tomorrow. Think about it. The storm that we're in right now is providing the strength that we are going to need for tomorrow. Where does courage and strength come from? Courage and strength comes from when you go through crisis and God is with you and He brings you safely through the storm that you just went through. I was thinking about when David fought Goliath. You talk about a big storm. You talk about a crisis. He was head on with the biggest battle of his life. And what was it that gave him the strength and the courage? The Bible tells us that it was the fact that God was with him and God helped him when a lion or a bear came and tried to destroy the sheep that he was shepherding. And God gave him the ability to take care of the lion and to take care of the bear. So that storm that he went through gave him the courage and the strength when he stood before Goliath. I want you to know this, that the storm that we're in today is providing you with the strength and courage that you're going to need tomorrow and the next day and the next day. And God is right there in the midst of it. Look at verse 23 and 24. Last night when that angel came, Paul said he stood beside me, and here's what he said. Do not be afraid. You must stand trial before Caesar, and God has graciously given you the lives of all of those that sail with you. In other words, here's what God is saying. Paul, you can't go down in this battle because you have more battles to fight. Paul, you're not going to go down with this ship because I have something else for you to do. Some of you need to hear this today, that you are not going to go down in this storm because God isn't done with you yet. There are things that God has for you that you haven't done yet, that God is going to be sure to carry out His purposes and His plan for our lives. So here's what God will do. God will use what you learn in the storm to help someone else through their storm. That's how amazing God is. You know, God is doing something in you that is just for you. Maybe He is giving you a greater sense of faith. Maybe God is helping you to overcome fear in your life. For some of you, maybe this storm has brought you closer to God. For others, maybe it's helped you to focus on the things that are most important in life. So there is always something that God is doing in you for you. But there is also something that God is doing through you for others. And I love it because I want to show you one of the purposes that came out of this storm. You actually got to go one chapter forward to chapter 28 and look at verses 7 and 9, because now they have shipwrecked onto an island. It's a small island called Malta. That's where they ended up. And look at what verse number 7 says. The chief official of the island welcomed us to his home and for 3 days entertained us with hospitality. His father was sick in bed, suffering from fever and dysentery. Paul went in to see him. After prayer, placed his hands on him and healed him. And when this happened, the rest of the sick on the island came and were cured. Do you see it there? That God wasn't just doing something in Paul, but God was doing something through Paul, that if he would have never went through that storm, if he would have never been shipwrecked on Malta, he would have never had an opportunity to pray for and heal all of the people that were there unless he went through that storm. And so right now, you may not even see what the purpose is that is happening all around you. Maybe you don't see how God is going to use you through this storm to help someone else through their storm. But when you get through a storm, God will have plenty of opportunities to use you to help others. Some of you have gone through the storm of a possible divorce, and you've come out on the other side and you say, I want to help someone else have a stronger relationship because God helped us through. Some of you have gone through a storm where you almost lost all of your financial security, and you know that God provided for you. So now you want to go and help someone else through a difficult time. Some of you have been through all sorts of things. Some of you have been through the pain of loss, and you have experienced God's peace and comfort in the midst of that storm. And now you want to go and help someone else that is experiencing the same pain and the same loss that you've experienced. So when the storm was raging, remember what Paul said. He said in verse 25, so keep up your courage, men. Have faith in God that it will happen just as he told me. I love what Paul says, because what Paul is saying is, my faith is not in what I see, my faith is in what God says. He says, look, it is going to turn out just like God said it was going to happen. My faith is not in the boat, but my faith is in the God who made the trees that built the boat. And so Paul is saying, I will have faith in God, that God is going to get me through this storm just like he said it was going to happen. You know, we can't control the outcome of the storm, but we can control the outlook of the storm. Think about what we can't control. We can't control what a storm blows up. We can't control how severe the storm is. We can't control how long the storm is going to last. We can't even control what people do to us or say to us. But notice what we can control. We can control what we believe. We can control where we put our faith. We can control what we choose to look at as we come out of this storm. We can choose to control what we have learned as we have gone through this storm. And so Paul has this incredible outlook in Romans chapter 8 and verse 18. Now this is a guy who was beaten. This is a guy that was in prison. This is a guy that was left for dead, that was shipwrecked. And he says this in Romans chapter 8 and verse 18. I consider that our present sufferings are not worth comparing to the glory that will be revealed in us. What you're going through on this earth right now, no matter how difficult it may seem, no matter how uncomfortable or painful it might be, Paul says it cannot even compare to what God has for us on the other side of this storm. So as you come out of the storm, I want you to remember this. Never let the presence of a storm cause you to doubt the presence of God, because God is with you no matter what storm you go through. And true peace isn't found in the absence of storms. True peace is found in the presence of Jesus. And his peace is available to every single one that calls out to him for it. I can't control the outcome of the storm, but I can control my outlook of the storm. And what you've learned through this storm is going to help you and is going to give you the strength and the courage to not only survive the storm that you're going through, but to help someone else survive and go through the storm that they're going to face. And God says, this storm is not going to take you out, because I am not done with you yet. I have more for you to do. I have so many things that I want to accomplish in your life. So be at peace with the God who is with us in any storm that we might face. So I want to pray for you today, wherever you're watching. So would you just go ahead wherever you're at? Would you just close your eyes? Would you just, in this moment, allow the presence and the person of Jesus to minister to you? Because I believe that maybe this storm has awakened you. Maybe you have come through this storm and realized that not only has God been there all along, but God is pointing me back to Him. Maybe I've lost my way. Maybe I've drifted away. Maybe I have been far away when God is calling me to come close. I believe that God can use this storm right now to bring some of you back to Him. And maybe that's what He is doing right now. For some of you, as you come through this storm, God wants you to know that He has an amazing purpose for your life, that He is not done with you. That yes, you have gone through this storm, but this isn't the first storm and this isn't going to be the last storm. And so everything that you have learned through this storm, allow it to build you up. Allow it to strengthen you so that you come out stronger and not weaker. You come out ready to tackle the next storm that you go through. For some of you today, you have just felt so paralyzed by the circumstances around you. You have just felt fear in every thought of your mind. And I want you to know that even in moments of fear, that God is with us. Even at times when our heart doubts, God is with us. And He's asking you to reach out to Him right now so that He can take your fear and He can give you the faith that you need to come out of this storm. So let me pray for us today. Wherever you're watching, would you just close your eyes in this moment and allow me to pray over you? God, I thank you right now that you are helping us to come through this storm that we have been in. And God, I believe that you are awakening people. I believe that you have the attention of so many that are watching, that you are bringing them back to you. And so God, I pray for that one right now that feels far away. I pray for that one that has been distant. That God, you are using this storm to bring them close in relationship with you. God, I pray that through this storm, you will help us to learn things that we would have never learned unless we would have been in the midst of this crisis. I pray for greater faith. I pray for greater trust. I pray, God, for a positive outlook at how you are going to use this storm and you're going to bring purpose in the midst of it. God, I pray that right now in this moment, people will experience peace and not fear. That God, faith will guide us and lead us in the days ahead. And Father, I thank you that you are always with us, no matter what storms we face in life. Amen.
Standing on this mountaintop, looking just how far we've come, knowing that for every step you were with us. Kneeling on this battleground, seeing just how much you've done, knowing every victory was your power in us. And scars and struggles on the way, but with joy our hearts can say, yes, our hearts can say, never did we ever walk alone. Never once did you leave us on our own. You are faithful, God, you are faithful. Kneeling on this battleground, seeing just how much you've done, knowing every victory was your power in us. And scars and struggles on the way, but with joy our hearts can say, yes, our hearts can say. Never once did we ever walk alone. Never once did you leave us on our own. You are faithful, God, you are faithful. In every step we are breathing in your grace. And evermore we are breathing out your praise. You are faithful, God, you are faithful. You are faithful, God, you are faithful. You are faithful, God, you are faithful.
Wow. Thank you, Pastor Kurt, for another amazing message, helping us to transition from the life that we had before to this new life that God has in front of us. I pray that you were personally blessed today through that message and that you have a next step that you're able to take. You know, one of the most amazing next steps that anybody could take is starting a relationship with Jesus Christ. And if you prayed that prayer today and you made that decision, we want to come alongside of you and celebrate with you and also help you navigate that decision that you've made. So if you've done that, go ahead and text the word follow to the number that you see on your screen. You could even put that in the comment section of the video or even email us at help@bridgewoodchurch.com, and we'll get back with you and help you navigate making that transition into a new life of following Jesus Christ. And speaking of next steps, there's next steps that we can all take, and there's something that we have always done at Bridgewood Church to help you to learn about Bridgewood, learn about the mission and vision that God has called us to, and how you can be a part of it, and different steps that you can take to get even more engaged with Bridgewood Church. So we're holding an online Next Steps class this Monday at 8 p.m., and we would love for you to be a part of it. Maybe you have joined with Bridgewood through this online season that we've been in. You've never even stepped foot into this building. We would love for you to be a part of that class and get to know us a little bit, and for us to get to know you a little bit as well. It'll be just a 1-hour session from 8 to 9 p.m. on Monday. And if you want to be a part of that, go ahead and sign up on the link that you see on your screen, and we will send you a registration to be able to be a part of that video conference call, and we are so excited to be able to connect with you in that way. One of the things that you would hear about in that Next Steps class is all of the amazing partnerships that we have with different organizations and nonprofits, not only locally, but across the world. And one of those is with Ben Peterson and his organization, Engage Your Destiny. And we've been able to partner together with them in an amazing way. And in fact, I want to hear from him right now. So let's check out what's going on over at Engage Your Destiny.
What's up, Bridgewood Church? I just wanted to give a quick shout out and a thank you for supporting us financially through COVID-19. We have launched an online video church service / chapel service ministry that we've been producing content for every week. And it is reaching veterans, military, and their families all over the world. And we actually had over 10,000 hits last week for our online ministry. So you guys are helping make that happen. And I just want to share with you that an Iraq veteran who was an atheist, came to Jesus a couple weeks ago through this online platform. So you guys are blessing this. You're helping make this happen. I just want to tell you guys how much I love you. I can't wait to come back and see you again and talk about all the great things God is doing. But I can't wait to share more, and just want to say thank you. Love you guys.
It is so good to hear from Ben and to hear all of the amazing things that God is doing through Engage Your Destiny. Really, Bridgewood, it's because of your faithfulness, generosity, and your giving that allows us to continue to support organizations like that, as well as to make an amazing impact in our local community and to continue the mission that God has called Bridgewood to. So thank you for your giving. And if you would like to continue to give and support Bridgewood Church, you can do that through any of the ways that you'll see there on your screen. Let's continue to be generous during this time so that we can make an amazing impact and do the things that God is calling us to do during this time. So let's continue that mission in the days to come. Let's remain connected with one another as best as we can as we do that. And maybe that's with you getting into one of those life groups, joining the Next Steps class that's happening on Monday, and just engaging with everything that's going on throughout the week at Bridgewood Church. I'm excited to connect with you that way, and I'm excited to be back together next week for an amazing online experience. So we will see you there. Have an amazing week.